Today on the channel, we present something different. It's an Airstream adventure, coming to you from Acadia National Park, specifically the Schoodic Woods Campground. In this tour, provided by my son, you'll be given a comprehensive look at this campground. Enjoy.
Okay, so we are at the Schoodic Woods Campground in Acadia, Maine, and I thought I'd give a little bit of a tour of this beautiful national park campground. This only opened a couple years ago. I think it was 2015. This was endowed by an anonymous donor, and he says, hey, look, I want to create a campground on the Schoodic Peninsula, and I want to make it something that's really a treat for campers and RVers alike, and they've really excelled here. Some of the first things that you notice when you come to this campground are like the wide open, very private spaces, the young growth vegetation, because it is a young campground. A lot of the vegetation that they planted here, the native plants and trees, are still young. You'll see a lot of young and short kind of trees. But a unique thing for a national park campground, you have electric and water hookups here. That includes 30 and 50 amp hookups. So this is actually our last night here. We've stayed here for 8 total nights. Tonight will be our 8th night. And we actually are in 2 different campsites. We originally only booked 5 nights at a back-end site, but are extended by 3 days. Had to move to a new site, and we're at site number B4 right now, which is like, I call them a pull-off site. They say it's a pull-through, pull-off, and we'll go through that here in a second. Okay, so like I said, we're in site B4 here. There are 2 loops in this campground. A loop is predominantly for tents. They still do have electric and water hookups there, but the sites are considerably smaller. Still very beautiful and very private. Max RV length at those is limited to 20 feet. So we're here in Loop B, which is where they have any size rig that's manufactured in the United States can fit in here. They have some of these pull-throughs are like 100 feet in length. They're just ridiculously huge. But take a look at the site here, and you'll notice that it's extremely private. So this is one of those pull-offs. So you see the main route going in, main loop road, and a little bit of vegetation there before we get to our particular campsite. But you see how we pull off, and that's where the picnic table and the fire ring are located. So there's our Airstream awning out, and again, you can see how incredibly private it is to be out here. It's also incredibly quiet at this campground, particularly at night. I hear one guy. I think this is actually a park ranger driving by in one of those little John Deere kind of utility vehicles, but it is exceptionally quiet here, and a lot of that has to do with how private these sites actually are, just not very close at all to your neighbors. So we're going to walk here, and I'll show you. Here's the truck. This is the end of our site, I guess you could say. And then I'm going to go ahead and just flip the camera around and show you kind of where our nearest neighbors are. So across the street, you have a pull-through, and this is a legitimate pull-through site. You can see it goes all the way back the other way to another road. And then our nearest neighbor this way, it's quite a bit of a distance. Another one of those pull-offs, but this is site number B5. And you can see, very similar site. I didn't particularly like this one so much because this is where that road comes in from the other pull-throughs, and when you're at this stop sign at night, you know, those headlights would be shining directly at that campsite. So we, again, we extended here. We got what we could take. Not the greatest site left in this campground, but really, really beautiful. We walked or drove through Seawall Campground on Mount Desert Island earlier today, and that was significantly, I mean, it's an older campground, right? So it's significantly more cramped. They actually had, pull-through RV sites that were like so close together that when some of these Class A's had their slides out there virtually touching the trailers or the RVs right next to them, and the National Park Service actually painted a line, indicating where one site ended and the other site began. So pretty, pretty ridiculous. Okay, so here we are. Let's just take a look at this site. This is site B23. But look at this guy, another one of those pull-off sites, right? But look at how much privacy he has. I mean, that's his nearest neighbor right there. You see some of these young trees planted only a couple years ago. No campsites here. He's the only one here, a pull-off site. And then there's just nobody across the street from him at all. So this is like the outer edge of the loop, of the B loops, and this guy's really all by himself. So I might get some traffic driving by him every once in a while, but that's it. I mean, he's got essentially no neighbors. It's a really, really beautiful site. We'll see. Take a little bit of a walk down here, and we'll check out the comfort stations and show you how nice those are. Okay, we're maybe 200 feet away from the last campsite that we just saw, about B23, and these are the comfort stations. I mean, this is what they are. Now, there's no showers here. There's no hot water at all in these buildings, but they're very nice. I mean, you can see they're constructed very nice. Outside over here, you have the dishwashing station. Again, this is cold water, but you do have a dishwashing station and a place to throw your scraps away right there, bear-proof container. You have recycling and a dumpster located right there. And again, the landscaping is just so nice. It's just so nice and so quiet. And then the bathrooms itself. Let's see. Relatively small. Again, cold water only. But I mean, can you say a national park campground comfort station is beautiful? I think maybe Schoodic Woods tells you it is. And then probably one of the most surprising things that this campground actually does have is Wi-Fi. So yep, they actually have free Wi-Fi here. It's not too bad. It's only really in range of the comfort station. They must mount the routers right from the comfort station. But they do, if you don't happen to, we can't range it from our campsite at all. But if you do, some of these probably close by to the comfort station can range it. But if that's a problem for you, they have a picnic table where you can bring your laptop and do whatever work you need to do right here. And yes, I had to do that yesterday. There's another example of just how huge these sites really are. I mean, look how big that is. That's one, probably a 28-foot Class C right there, all by itself, and you see how much space he has in front and behind him. Just an enormous site. Yeah. So most of the sites in the B loop are either these pull-offs like we're in, or the traditional kind of pull-throughs. But there are a few back in. And the first 5 nights that we were here, that's what we stayed. I personally like back in better. I think they're more private, and they're, I don't have any issues backing up a trailer. But some people do. Some people like the pull-throughs, and some people need the extra space. Pull-throughs are probably a little bit longer. But we were in a back end. So right over here behind me, there's one of the back ends that Class A's in. And I'll show you the one that we stayed in for the first 5 nights. It was B28, I believe. So I'll check that out next. Okay, this is our site for the first 5 nights, B28. They got one of these Pleasureways sprinter mounted things in there right now, but you can kind of see over my shoulder, they're actually out right now. I don't want to disrupt them or disturb them at all, but that was our campsite. Beautiful backdrop right up to the woods, and you know, really, really private. The only thing I didn't like about it was that like right across from us, so there's our site kind of behind me, but right across was one of those pull-throughs. So I mean, this guy's a Class A diesel pusher. He's got no windows in the back, but if you you know, if you did have a unit there that had windows in the back, I mean, they could conceivably be looking at your campsite while you're, you know, camping or whatever. But you know, and there were some people there for one night, I think, that were, you know, we were worried about, but it was fine, no issue. Probably a better campsite is this one over here next, and this one's been vacant for the last couple of days. It wasn't vacant online, so somebody just didn't show. But I think B30 is a really nice site. Back in site. So here's B30. See, it's a back in site. Nothing but woods around you on 3 sides. And then across from you, though, is nothing. You don't have any other sites. I mean, that's the closest one to you. That Bambi Airstream right there is the closest one to you. But that's not directly in front of you. That's, you know, that's off to the side a little bit. But man, you could just come out here and then just hang out. Look how peaceful and quiet it is. I mean, I'm at the back of this site, and it is just the most. I mean, you can hear the surf a little bit, you know, from here. Not too far away, but it's just gorgeous. It's just quiet. It's just beautiful, and you have a lot of peace here. So there's, like I said, 50 amp and 30 amp electric at these sites. There's water at these sites, but there's no sewer. But there is a dump station off the B loop, again, right next to the site B30 here, not too far away. Far enough away, though, you know, you're not getting any kind of issues with noise or smells or anything like that. But yeah, really clean and really functional. And actually, this dump station, unlike a lot, has not only you know, non-potable cleaning water where you can flush out your black tanks, but also drinking water. So you can use, you know, hook up your hose right there, and you have potable drinking water. Fill up your tanks before you roll out of camp. You know, why you would do that here as opposed to your campsite, I don't know. But hey, if you wanted to, you can. Most dump stations only have the non-potable, you know, black tank flush water. Okay, so there's a ranger station here at Schoodic Woods. This is really the ranger station for the whole Schoodic Peninsula, and this is where you check in. It's open 9 to 6. Late check-in, they have some, you know, procedure for it, whatever you got to call. But this is it. Again, this was built at the same time the campground was built, and you can see same architecture, and it's just a really, really pretty, you know, ranger station. Looks really, really nice. In addition, they have another comfort station up here, and they have a bus depot. So Acadia gets real popular in the summer months, and so they run a free shuttle for people to basically tour every aspect of the park. They call it the Island Explorer, and there's some schedule. I don't know, we never use it, but there's some schedule associated for you know, how you can you know, use that to get yourself around all of Acadia National Park. Probably a good thing to do when it's like super crowded here. I mean, it's fairly crowded right now, not too bad. But I can imagine that I mean, these are all 2-lane roads leading to every aspect of Acadia National Park. There's not like one consolidated part of the park. There's Mount Desert Island, which has, you know, you know, the fragmented parts of it all over the Mount Desert Island, because there's a lot of private communities and landowners on Mount Desert Island. And then we're on the mainland here, the Schoodic Peninsula part, which is about an hour to an hour and a half away from Bar Harbor and the rest of what you would think of as Acadia National Park. And it's all 2-lane roads to get here. You have to actually drive all the way around the bay through Ellsworth to get to Schoodic. A lot more rural out here, but some people don't want to do that, so they have a shuttle to take you here to take care of that. Everybody says bring your bikes to Acadia, and you of course, you know, on Mount Desert Island you have all the carriage roads that you can you know, take horseback rides or bike rides on. But even here on Schoodic, they have, I think it's like 25 miles of bike trails, just bike only trails, you know, that you can can ride around. And you see some folks coming up here right now doing just that. Okay, just to orient you spatially, so here we are at the Schoodic Woods Campground. We're at this parking area right here. This is the road that comes in. All campers and RVs are supposed to turn out here, and then autos can take this 6-mile loop all the way around the rest of the peninsula. And this is where the park exits. Again, these are all kind of private communities here. These yellow roads are the bike paths, and I'll show you those here in a second. And then the dashed lines are the hiking trails that go all over the peninsula as well. Now, David and Sam and I did this loop right here. It's a 1.1 mile loop. They called it the Harbor Loop Trail. Relatively flat, but really neat views of this little inlet here. So David, Sam, and I walked that, crossed the road, and they got on this bike path to walk back into the campground. Schoodic Institute is another place. There's a small, this used to be a Navy base, but there's a small exhibit area there that you can see, and then there's, you know, Schoodic Point, where there's just more ocean views. Just tons and tons of ocean views all over this 6-mile loop road. And then the communities of Birch Harbor and Winter Harbor, you know, lots of restaurants and other places to see. But you see here on this map where you have the Schoodic Peninsula where we are, and then Mount Desert Island where where most people think of Acadia National Park. This red route here is the Park Loop Road. It goes in a clockwise motion all the way around, and then you have the western part of Mount Desert Island. This is where the seawall area is. So the seawall campground, the Bass Harbor Lighthouse is all here on that side. So we were able to see this today. We did the Park Loop Road. Jordan Pond House is located right here. We were able to see that a couple days ago, and then we've spent all 8 nights here on the Schoodic Peninsula. But really nice. Erin's favorite park, she says. Erin's favorite park by far. So just a look at where you could go kind of by bike here. It shows you to the left is Winter Harbor, and then to the right are all these other parts within the park that you can just pretty easily ride your bike to. It's not even that far. And you can see how the park has maintained these bike paths. You know, very pristine, very pristine. Not very old at all. We'll see how they look, I guess, in a few years. But certainly one thing that if we were to do again, we got to figure out a way to transport bikes in our camping rig, because this is definitely the place to bring bikes. Let's go check out A-Loop. So while the bike paths have that little pea gravel kind of surface to them, there's a few walking trails around here, mainly just for transportation, getting you from, you know, the visitor center to the loops or to the amphitheater. But they're all paved, you know, and if you look at night, they're actually lit as well. They have little pulse lighting or post lighting that real subtle, real unobtrusive, but you can see right there how at night this path is lit just enough for you to see where you're going. Now, one of the things I've always loved doing, especially since you know, when I was a kid, was coming to the ranger programs at the campground at night. Now, I haven't had any since we've been here. It's a little early, I guess, in the season for that. But when they have them at Schoodic, they're right here at this amphitheater. Not too big, but enough where they can project something. They have the AV system going with all the power that they need to give a presentation on whatever they feel like. This is on the A-loop side of the campground, but again, nothing's very far away the way this campground's laid out. So short, easy walk from B-loop too. Okay, here we are in A-loop. 50 total sites, and there's a bunny right there, little tiny bunny. Anyway, 50 total sites here in A-loop, and you'll see how it's geared more towards smaller RVs or campers. But I think this is probably the prettier side of the campground, although B-loop is certainly really pretty too. If you're interested in being close to a comfort station, I think site A3 is probably a good one. So it's just right behind me there, and then the comfort station is right there. And again, you have the same same kind of comfort stations as you did in B-loop. No changes. You got the dishwashing station, no hot water, but showers and flush toilets and everything. Or no showers, I'm sorry, but flush toilets and sinks, whatever you need. Now, they say this is a 20 foot limit. I've seen some people cheat here a little bit. I see a 23-foot Airstream here, but what's 3 feet amongst friends? And really, some of these sites they're way bigger than 20 feet. I mean, you can easily accommodate a bigger site here. It's just a question of whether or not they're gonna, tell you to go away or not. But I mean, that's site A4 right there. I'd have no problem getting my 28-foot Airstream and my truck pulling it in that in that site right there. But hey, they say we try to follow the rules, and they say over 20 feet and you need to go to B-loop, and so we went to B-loop. No issues. I mean, look at that. That's A6. And that's going to be 70 feet on the gravel all the way back. Extremely private back in sight. I mean, you are close to the stop sign here, so where these roads kind of come together. But hey, a good sized site. You get a good camper in there, and it's private and it's quiet. Beautiful day here in Schoodic Campground. Now off A-loop, in addition to the campsites they have here, they actually also have hike-in sites. So this here is the area where you would park your vehicle, and then you would take that trail and hike into a campsite if that's what you like to do. There's also group camping here, but this is something that folks are taking advantage of now. Park here, and then it's a varying degree of distance between what site you're at. You're right here at the parking area here, and then the furthest site looks to be H8 or H9. One comfort station to walk down there and camp. Still have to reserve these sites, but it's probably doubtful that they fill up on a regular basis. I think really what it is that people they want to come to Acadia, they want to visit Acadia, and they want to do the Acadia stuff. They want to see the lighthouses, they want to drive the Park Loop Road, they want to go to the Jordan Pond House, they want to take a carriage ride on the carriage roads. And then if they're going to blow something off, they're going to blow off the Schoodic Peninsula. And it's a damn shame because it's so beautiful and quiet out here. But that's to the advantage of the people who are willing to make a little bit more of a drive and maybe see something that is a little off the beaten path. But we really like it here, and would definitely stay here again. I guess if you're camping with somebody and you can't fit all into one site, you may almost be better off reserving a site across the road from each other, because those would be the closest ones to you. The side by side, there's just so much space between sites side to side that it may not even be that much like camping together. And maybe that's what you want. But here we are. Here's Now here's a 23-foot flying cloud right here, FB. Using the A loop. I'm not saying anything though, but that is a 23-foot airstream. A9, another site, easily be able to get the airstream and the truck in here. I mean, it's a little bit of a front to back slope, but nothing you would be able to handle with leveling it out. But again, just incredibly private. Airstreams are like everywhere now. I mean, speaking of which, we've seen probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 on the road today, just driving from Mount Desert Island back here. And then here in this campground right now, there's got to be like 5 or 6. Just really getting really popular. We'll see. But that's another one right there. Looked to be a 23-footer. Now the camp host gets sewer. They're right here in this grand design, but they're probably the exception, right? No issues with having campfires here, but you're probably not getting your firewood from inside the campground. You probably have to go outside and into town to get your firewood. From what we could tell, firewood from the local towns, about $3.50 to $4 a bundle, depending on where you go. But it's plentiful. It's wherever you see it, everywhere coming into the campground. Folks selling firewood pretty much all over Mount Desert Island and the Schoodic Peninsula. No issue. Okay, heading into B Loop now, and you'll see, there's 3 basic ways you can enter the loop. Campsites 1 through 5, where we are, we're in 4. You can go this way here, and then the pull-throughs, which are B6 through 13. Take this next road and then keep going to the left for the rest of the loop. But we'll just take a walk through kind of this pull-through area and show again just how spacious these sites are and how how big they are. So just past the camp host site, now coming up on the first paid site here on the right. But again, look at all this woods I'm walking through before I get to this guy. Again, his neighbor to the left you can't see from his site. His neighbor to the right's the camp host. You're not seeing that. And then across the road, is his next neighbor. But even these pull-throughs, I mean, there's a lot of privacy between these pull-through sites. Here's another one. Incredibly quiet, incredibly beautiful. Great place to stay. So I kind of wonder if, is this just like a place that people are avoiding because it's away from, the main Acadia attractions? Is it just that the secret's not out? Is it that it's, just too early in the season? I don't know. I mean, it's still fairly, there's people camping here. It's a Friday night. But there's still a decent amount of empty campsites, especially in the A-Loop. I'll be sad to leave here, but we'll certainly find a way back. Aaron will guarantee that for me. But when we do, we'll have to make sure that we bring the bikes for sure. Here's an empty pull-through. I'm just going to walk through it right now. So when I started the video, that's when I started walking through this campsite. Still walking through this campsite, probably about a third of the way through it right now. Still walking through. Still walking through. Still walking through. Okay, we're done. That's a big site. And look at that sucker right there. There's nothing made that wouldn't fit in there. Okay, so the thing I don't particularly like about our site is, as you see where it curves off to the left, you keep going straight, you're into our site. So where, to the extent there is anybody traveling at night, their headlights are going to shine right into the bedroom window of our site before they turn off. But hasn't been an issue the last 2 nights, and don't think it'll be a significant detractor from being in this campground.
We hope you enjoyed this tour of the Schoodic Woods Campground in Acadia National Park, and as always, thank you for watching.